Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. I do apologize for the quality of my voice today. I'm a little bit sick, but I thought I would do this video just to show you the first ever nail set that I've done in my brand new studio. First up, I'm just going in with this cuticle pusher, and I've got some foils as well just to soak off some of the leftover gel polish I had from a very basic manicure that I did on myself. Because I was doing a lot of DIY in the studio, I couldn't really have a lot of nail extensions on, so I literally just painted my nails normal, just a nice red colour. But now it's about time that I actually had some extensions and felt like myself again. I am struggling a little bit here because I am rushing as well. I do have somewhere to be today, so this is going to be a very quick one. Then I'm just going in with my clippers. I know that my nails don't really grow that far past the free edge, but I always just find that it is better to do nail extensions with very trimmed down nails. I think it just helps as well, like with catching, if you hit them or anything like that. It's just good just to have them nice and neat before the set. Now I'm just going through and lifting up my cuticle with a drill bit. I actually really love this part because it makes it so much easier for the nippers in the next step. Using the Melody Susie e-file, which is a new one that I bought for myself, and honestly I really love it. I think it's so sleek and so nice, and it's very budget friendly as well. These nippers I'm using from Makarrt, and to be honest, I don't really like these nippers. I don't really think that they're that smooth or that easy to use, and quite a lot of times that I do use them, I actually end up taking off more than I need. So I personally wouldn't recommend these ones, but as you can see, I've just switched them. But yeah, I would definitely recommend just finding nippers that you feel more comfortable with. Now that the cuticles are all tidy, nipped back and looking good, it's time to buff the surface of the nails. I do use an e-file for this, and to be honest, my nail teacher really does advise against this, but I think it's just a really nice and easy way to just really buff the surface and make sure that it's ready for the adhesion. I also do go in with like a 240 grit, so it's quite soft, and I also use a very low speed, just so there's a minimal damage to the natural nail, because ultimately, even though we are using extensions a lot, we do want to make sure that our natural nails are still healthy. Once you've done that, we're just going to spray with some alcohol and clean off the dust as much as possible. Obviously, at this point, if you do have a sink near you, it would be good to wash your hands, but because the studio doesn't have any plumbing, this is just the next best thing. For the application, I am using Apres. These are the natural ones, as my nail beds are pretty flat. When we're sizing up, we want to make sure that they fit sidewall to sidewall, and I do find myself having to size with different shapes just because different shapes carry different sizes, but most of the time I can pretty much eye it as I know my nails pretty well. But yeah, you just want to make sure that they fit well, they're not too big or too small, just to make sure that they last the longest. One important step that you definitely should do is just etch the inside of the nail. Now, you can use a drill for this, but the kind of lazier version that I like to do is dip a texture brush into alcohol and then just sort of etch the inside, so that way when you're putting on the gel, it just has a better adhesion surface to it, and that just helps things last a bit longer. For the curing, I do about a 10-second cure of the glue on the natural nail, and then when applying the tip, I do it for about 15 seconds just to make sure that it is cured. Now, it's not going to be cured all the way through and fully, but I just don't want that application to slip and slide whilst I'm doing the other nails. So once I've done those for about 15 seconds, I then put my hand into the lamp for a full minute just to make sure that it's cured all the way through and to reduce the risk of any allergic reactions or contact dermatitis or anything like that. Also, Also a tip, if you're doing gel X on yourself, I would highly recommend doing your dominant hand first. So if you are right-handed like me, I tend to apply the nails on my right hand first, just so that it's easier for when I'm doing the left hand, because otherwise it can get quite difficult with like the angles, and if you have nails in the way as well, like it can cause things like air bubbles and stuff like that, which will affect the longevity of your set. Now that the nails are on, we just want to go through and buff them. What you don't want to do is hold at an angle like this, but kind of flat, just so it gets all over the nail and also doesn't really cause any heat spikes. What you really want is to just sort of blend that tip, as you can see like with my thumb, which is kind of going in and out of frame, but you can see that it looks kind of seamless, and that's what you want. You don't want that sort of lipped look, because then they're going to look more like press-ons than they would like an actual gel X set. So you just want to make sure that it just looks really nice and tidy. Now we're just going to give them another spray of that alcohol just to remove the dust, and we're going to get ready for the artwork. As always, I'm going in with this base coat by Halo, which is also done by Pure Nails. I always use them for my sets, to be honest. I just really love their range of colours, and all of my nail polishes, bar a couple, are from Pure Nails. Then just going in with this nude base, which is in the shade Anais. I really love this shade just because it's not too opaque, and I also like the fact that it's not too pink. So when you're using colours like we will be doing today with the browns and the blues, it really just helps to balance the set. This one here is Turquoise by Pure Nails. I really do love this blue just because of how bright it is. It kind of gives that sort of like sea, ocean vibe, and I just really love the way that it just pops with like my skin tone as well. Now we're just going in with, I don't know how to pronounce it, I think it's Decadence or Dissidence by Pure Nails as well. It's a really nice sort of chocolate brown, and again very much just complements that blue, and I think with this whole Hollister look thing, it's just what I'm after. With the French tips that I'm doing, I always do my French tips quite messy. I always kind of do like a very thick half French, and then I go in and then just sort of refine the shape of it. I find it's just the easiest method for me. If you do French as a different way, then hats off to you, but this is literally just the easiest way that I find. Now the French shapes are done, I'm just going to go in with a second coat. I know I said that they are pigmented. I think especially as well when you're doing French styles and you're using a lot of streaks with the brushes, it can kind of show through and kind of compromise that pigmentation. So yeah, I always just like to go in with a second coat to make sure that it is as vibrant as possible. So for the middle nail, I want to go in with a 3D flower, and it has been a while since I've done these, but I think when you're doing this sort of Y2K Hollister look, I just feel like a set will not be complete without a 3D flower. So going in with this hard gel, and what I like to do is kind of roll it into a noodle and then split them into 5 equal parts, which then I put into balls, which then I place into petals, if that makes sense. Kind of like this. Now, my issue here is that I actually made these balls way too big and way too thick, which actually made it harder to work with. And that's mostly because I was rushing, but also just because I wasn't really paying much attention to the details. So that actually ended up costing me in the long run. So here I am going in with this darker blue called Liberty, because I kind of wanted that contrast of having a darker blue on the set. It wasn't really going too well, to be honest. When I usually do 3D flowers, I do a dark color and then sort of streak in some light colors and some white. But for some reason, it just wasn't really working. It was all kind of blending into one color. So I had to go in again, cure it, which I don't usually do, and then just put a little bit more blue on top of it. So after multiple failed attempts of trying to balance this flower with colour, I decided to go in with a white eyeshadow, which I usually use for sort of like aura nails and stuff like that. And it did work for the most part, and I really did like the colour combo and the way that it looked. I just don't think I could get over that bulkiness. Now, if you remember, I did say earlier in the video that I was heading out, so I was really rushing here. I matte top coated all of my nails and I had to dip. I'm literally heading out with this hand half done and this hand not even done. I mean, I'm only going to lunch with my grandma, but we'll be back. So now that we're back, it's time to continue the set, and I don't even know what time it is at this point, but I just know that it's late. Going in here with some eyeshadow to create a sort of ombre effect here. I know that some people do use airbrushes for this effect, but I didn't realise how harmful it was to mix gel polish and acetone, which is why I use eyeshadow at the moment. And sometimes it's not the best and it can be quite messy, but at the moment it's my best shot, so I'm just going through and doing the best with what I've got. Another thing as well, I always put base coat over the aura effect just to lock it in, especially if I'm doing details on top of the nail as well, because if you're gonna wipe it with acetone, it will take absolutely everything off. But as you can see, I'm using an extra brush here and not the base coat one, because the eyeshadow can pick up in the brush and then it can be put back into a bottle and just sort of ruin the whole product. So this is the way that I do it, but I am going to have a look into some nail friendly airbrush polishes, because when I was doing airbrushes it was so much easier and the effect was just a lot nicer, if I'm honest. So now I'm going in with some hibiscus flowers in blue, again just against that brown French background, just to sort of stick with that Hollister colour theme. It just kind of brings it to life and kind of brings that vibe. Next I'm going in with these tiger stripes, and I know I use tiger stripes so much in most of my sets, but I just feel like they just work so well. And with this nail as well, the color stripes will be ombre, so we are going to start off with a white and then we go through to a lighter brown and then to a darker brown, so it kind of again mirrors that ombre of the nail that we did earlier with the eyeshadow. Now with tiger stripes, I don't like to keep them too simple. I do like to go in and just sort of give them a little bit of dimension by adding sort of like, I don't know how to explain it, like just sort of extra details on top of like the base. Just again, give it a bit of dimension. With this index finger, I'm kind of just freestyling a gel effect. I really love the sort of juicy look that this hard gel gives. I don't know where this trend or who even came up with this, but they are an absolute genius. I haven't really decided what style I'm doing here. I really am just freestyling it, but I really think this nail came out so cute, and it definitely ended up being one of my favorites. Next, we're moving on to the thumb. I kind of already failed a couple of times with this one, so I'm kind of just going in with some white lines, trying to just keep it simple. But as you can see from some of like the markings on it, that I have been trying to do stuff on it from before. So I'm just gonna do another hibiscus flower in white and do some of like those sort of fine lines as well, just to make it look better. Then just moving back to the index finger, just adding some caviar beads here. I kind of wanted to just give the nail a little bit of elevation, and I really just think that caviar beads are just a really easy way to make a nail look really good. So kind of going through and putting them all over the set to where I think they would look the best. Also as well, going in with some rhinestones. I really love doing rhinestones along the cuticle. I think it's just such an easy way to just elevate the style as well and just give it that little bit of sparkle. Now that I've added the finishing touches to the set, looking at it, the flower just really is not working for me, so at this point it was really late, so I kind of just went through and did a lot of things sort of off camera, but this is the final set. I feel like they're so cute, like they're just like very summery. I love the brown and the blue combo. Considering all the carnage I've been through today, look how tired I am. I'm fighting a migraine. It is 10 o'clock at night. I started these in the morning. Fair enough, I did go out for dinner with my grandma, but like this should not have taken that long. But I'm pretty happy with them. I think they look really cute. As always, please like and subscribe for more. Knowing me, I'm probably gonna do these again in 2 weeks anyway. I don't keep nails. That's the thing, like people are like, how long do your nails last? And I'm like, I don't know, because I literally be taking them off like to change them every 2 weeks. So okay, so that's the end of the video. As you can tell, I am really tired. Like my eyes are so red. But as always, please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in a couple of weeks, because I will most likely be redoing these. Not because I don't like them, but just because I always do my nails very frequently. So if there's anything that you kind of want me to try, like I like a challenge. I do want to try and start doing like anime type nails, but I've never been good with characters, but I feel like it's something that I want to do. So yeah, that's the end of the video, and hope you have a good week, and I will see you soon.